She had a very bad accident, but now she has recovered fully. Haribol. Hare Krishna. Haribol, Haribol. Krishna's mercy. Optimal health in 5 steps, leading ultimately to immortality. I think this is an interesting subject. Right? So, we previously discussed the first step is lifestyle reorganization. And that means going to bed early and waking up early, not staying up after 10 o'clock at night. Unless you want to die young, you can do that. That's okay. But if you want to have a healthy life and you want to have a long, productive life, this is extremely important. Going to sleep before 10 o'clock at night and waking up 1.5 hours before sunrise, which is called Brahma Muhurta. Brahma Muhurta period is the ultimate, is the best time to make spiritual progress. And if you are careful about going to bed early and waking up early, you will get much more done every day. Much more. You'll be 150% more productive by doing that. And this is nothing new. This was the way of life for millions of years in India. It's only in the last 2 generations that it's been disrupted. Then, eating at regulated times. That means that it requires at least 4 to 5 hours to digest food. If you're snacking all day long, you destroy your digestive system. You get acid reflux, you have bad smells, and you have stomach problems. Eventually you get ulcers, and after that comes cancer. So this snacking between meals is devastating to the digestive tract. But if you give yourself 4 hours or 5 hours to digest food and then eat at regulated times, of course not watching television, not talking on the cell phone, but focusing on chewing the food properly and being relaxed when you eat, not nervous, and praying before you begin to eat, offering the food and preparing the food and offering it to Krishna so that Krishna offers it back to you as prasadam. This is all necessary for spiritual as well as material well-being. Just eating like an animal is very detrimental to health as well as to your spiritual well-being. Because everything is given to us by Krishna. This body, the senses, the mind, the intelligence, the ability to perceive things, and the things that you perceive, and the process of perception, all that is given to us. We didn't create any of it. It was not created in a factory. So, therefore, we have to understand why we've been given all this very highly evolved instruments. The body, the senses, the mind, the intelligence. These are powerful, powerful tools for specifically acquiring knowledge of self-realization. It's not meant for dissipating our energies through self-indulgence. Self-indulgence means eating more, sleeping more, having more sex, making more money than you need. Like some people die with $4 billion in the bank. That is a failed life. It's embarrassing to die with so much money in the bank. That means that they failed as a human being. They didn't do all the good that they potentially could have done, by hoarding all that money. So you create prosperity not by hoarding, but by sharing. Because everything we have is given to us by God, by Krishna. Therefore we should use everything in the service of Krishna and share with others. Just like here. If you, by mistake, knock on the door of the neighbor thinking the neighbor is the temple, and they say, yes, what can I do for you? So, I'd like to come in, I'd like to have darshana deity. What? What? I think you're in the wrong place, sir. No, no, I thought this is the Krishna temple. No, 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 it's not the Krishna temple. And I'm sick and tired of people knocking on my door. Now, if you don't leave, I'm going to call the police. All right. Now, why did he treat you like that? Because when you come here, the door is open, everyone's inviting you in. Please have darshan, please have prasadam. If you like, put your kids in a school, Sunday school, they'll learn all good things, and so forth. Why is this door open and that door is not open? Because this door and this temple doesn't belong to any individual like me or somebody else. It belongs to Krishna, Radha and Krishna. This is their building. And therefore, everything should be used in this building to glorify the Lord. That's the difference. Whereas the neighbor's house, he thinks, I am Thakur. I am the God in this house. And this is for my own privacy. And I'm not going to share anything with anybody. So, eating at regulated times. People get sick because of irregulated habits. Not eating at the same time, not sleeping at the same time, not waking up at the same time. These unregulated habits are one of the major causes of sickness. Then, also regulating everything, not just me eating, regulating procreative activities, regulating eating, regulating bathing. One should bathe at least twice a day, if not 3 times a day, for hygiene. Very important. At least 2 times a day one should bathe. Because the number one organ of elimination of toxins is the skin. It's not the intestinal tract, it's not the mouth, it's actually the skin. And if the skin is clogged, if the pores of the skin are clogged, then you don't eliminate properly. And people who never sweat, that's another symptom of a person who's going to get very sick. Sweating is important because that means the pores of your skin are open. So many times people who know about health, they use an exfoliating glove or loofah because it has rough edges, certain rough edges. It doesn't cut you, but it takes off the dead skin. It's very important to keep the body clean. And oral hygiene is most important because most sicknesses begin, very serious sicknesses begin because of infected gums, called pyorrhea. Infected gums exude pus. And when you swallow that pus, you can get leprosy from it. Did you know that? You can get leprosy from that. And other serious diseases. So oral hygiene is extremely important. And as far as oral hygiene goes, drinking coffee and tea are the dentist's and the doctor's best friends. If you drink coffee and tea, or just drink a lot of tea, or just drink a lot of coffee, you will see the doctor many times in your life because you're acidifying your body. You're acidifying your blood. We'll get to that in a second. So that is just a general, quick explanation of lifestyle reorganization. The best lifestyle reorganization is asat sangatyaga e vaishnavachar. Give up the association of unholy people. Now, you might have to work with them in a corporate environment or in your business or whatever you're doing, but you should not closely or intimately associate with them. Because just watching a person eat meat, drink liquor, and talk nonsense is degrading to your spiritual understanding in life. You might end up thinking it's normal to do those things, but it's not. Those are very sinful things, and it will destroy your spiritual life by associating with such people. You can work with them, but you don't have to eat with them. You don't have to listen to the nonsense that they talk. all about vacations and how much money they made and how their 401k is doing and how they met this person, this girl, this man, and they're having an affair and all that. That's all nonsense. Why should we listen to that? It's rubbish. Okay. So this lifestyle reorganization is number one. And there are many other points, but we're not going to go more deeper into it. Second, and this is probably most important, not wasting your vital bodily fluids. Men and women both have vital bodily fluids. These fluids are used for reproduction. They should only be used for reproduction. They should not be wasted. If you don't waste these fluids and you regularly engage in spiritual activities, then the fluids will rise through your spinal column and fertilize your brain. If that happens, it's very possible you could have what's called total recall. You hear something once, you remember it the rest of your life. Your brain becomes very sharp. But if you waste the vital fluids, not only it diminishes your lifespan and impairs your health, but it makes you dumb. Makes you stupid. What is a stupid person? A person who only talks about making money, about cricket, about politics, never talks about, not interested in spiritual issues at all. In fact, if they hear something spiritual, they walk away. They say, this is a waste of time. I can't make money listening to this nonsense. So, wasting vital fluids will subvert all your endeavors for health, for spiritual well-being, and for energy. So many people feel tired all the time. So many people have headaches. So many people have digestive problems. So many people have mental stress that affects the body. It's called psychosomatic symptoms. It begins with the mind being distressed, and then it affects the body. You see? This is all due to irregulated habits, wasting vital fluids, associating with unholy people, and basically eating junk. Now we're going to get to that in a second, the junk that we eat. Okay, now, I don't want to go too deep into this. There's a lot more that can be said, but you know what I mean when I talk about vital fluids. It should only be used for procreation. Outside of that, you're wasting those fluids and it's subverting your health, your well-being, and the duration of your life, and it makes you stupid. Next is removing all toxic things from your home. Now we're going to go in an exhaustive list of these today. I was not able to cover it thoroughly 2 weeks ago, but today we're going to cover it thoroughly. This is extremely important if you don't want to get cancer. Cancer is caused by a buildup of toxic things in your body, and that buildup is usually in your liver and your stomach, and the intestines. So, number one toxic thing is non-stick cookware. You have some in your house? Yeah. Almost everybody does. Non-stick cookware, although it's nice not to have to soak your pans because there's food burned on them. You have to soak your pans overnight, this thing, that thing, scrape off the burnt food. And the ease of non-stick cookware comes with a price. The price for your safety. Polytetrafluoroethylene. I can hardly pronounce the word. Polytetrafluoroethylene is the coating, the chemical coating that they put on non-stick pans. And when you heat it, it releases gas. You don't see it, you don't smell it, but the gas is released when you're heating that pan, and you breathe it. All the polytetrafluoroethylene has been proven to put human beings at risk for cancer and other harmful health effects. It's been proven. The manufacturers know it, the FDA knows it, and still they permit it to be sold. What's a little bit of poison, right? What's a little bit of poison? No, any bit of amount of poison. See, in India, previously, people cooked in clay pots. They didn't have metal pots. They didn't have polytetrafluoroethylene-coated non-stick pans and things like that. And they were healthy. And they didn't have plastic. There was no plastic. Everything was either a leaf, a sewn leaf in form of a cup or a bowl, or you had the clay cups, those little clay cups, and it was all immediately biodegradable. Today, plastic can take up to 100 years to be biodegradable, and that's certain types of plastics only. Not, like for example, nowadays you'll see in India, in the Ganges, in the Narmada, in the Kaveri, bottles, plastic bottles floating down. They hardly ever will biodegrade. They can go on for hundreds of years without being biodegradable, you see. And this is causing a disaster in the rivers and the oceans. There's an area in the Pacific Ocean that's bigger than the state of Texas, which is the second biggest state in the United States, full of plastic. And it's killing whales and other animals that swallow it. It ruins their digestive tract. But plastic is being thrown into the ground and being buried. It's dangerous, very, very dangerous for the water underground. It's dangerous for nature and so forth. Plastic is a product it's a byproduct of the oil industry. Every day, hundreds of millions of pounds of plastic in the form of bottles and this thing and that thing are being not consumed, but used by people and thrown into trash all over the world. Hundreds and millions of pounds every day. And it's not going to biodegrade. Okay, next, mothballs, naphthalene. Almost every Indian house has mothballs. You know what that is? You're no longer an Indian. You've become a health advocate, right? This naphthalene is a product which can destroy red blood cells and has been proven to cause cancer in animals. Well, we're also an animal, so it can cause cancer in us. And I remember I've gone to many homes in India. I can always smell the naphthalene. I can always smell the mothballs. And then many people put on clothes. You can smell the mothballs. Is it right? Yeah. You can smell the mothballs. That is a very toxic chemical. Very toxic. Next, oven cleaner. Many of these cleaners contain corrosive alkalis, meaning alkaline products, and which can have grave effects on your gastrointestinal tract and the respiratory system if inhaled or ingested. Next, furniture polish and stain. I had a friend of mine who was living in Haridwar, and he was trying to open a temple. He was a devotee. He was a very nice person. So every day he would go on Har Ki Puri Bridge in Haridwar, and he would sell things or accept donations for like laminated pictures of Krishna. But it was not laminated. There was a chemical that they put on it that was transparent. So he was buying those pictures. But then he thought, let me get the chemicals and I'll do it myself. I'll make more money for the temple. So he bought the chemicals. 3 years later, he was dead of cancer by breathing in those chemicals. Only 3 years later, he was dead, and he was only like 30 years old. That's how dangerous those chemicals are. That they put a transparent coating on the pictures, and it looks very nice, but it's a dangerous chemical. And same way, furniture polish and stain. They're non-vegetable oil-based stains and polishes. Not only they're extremely flammable, but they contain the chemical phenol and nitrobenzene, which can be absorbed by your skin and can cause skin cancer. Skin cancer, there's an epidemic of skin cancer all over the world now. Okay. Next, toilet bowl cleaner. The corrosive ingredients that make acidic toilet bowl cleaners that work really good are the same ingredients that cause burns on skin and eyes. They're extremely dangerous when mixed with other types of cleaners because there's a chemical reaction. So if you use like Ajax and then you use Clorox and you mix them together, there can be a chemical reaction, and when you breathe it in, it can destroy your respiratory tract. Okay, what was his name? What's the name of that yogi? Ram Dass in India. He says the best toilet cleaner is Coca-Cola. If you want to take paint off on your car, you can use Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola or Meca-Cola, right? Any of the colas, because they're highly acidic. Nowadays, it's a mark of social prestige to drink Coca-Cola in America and in India. Americans are going away from Coca-Cola. So, you want to clean your toilet, use Coca-Cola. It's a little less dangerous than the other toilet cleaners. Next, gas space heaters, heating the house with propane gas. Gas-powered anything releases toxins in the house. And using them indoors is extremely dangerous and can lead to carbon monoxide poisoning. If you want to commit suicide, you can burn a propane gas burner in your room, lock the doors, close the windows. By the time you wake up, you're dead. That's how dangerous it is. I know people that have died like this. There was one devotee in Vrindavan, in our temple there. He had a private room, and he had a propane cooker in his room, and he would cook dinner for himself. One day they found him dead. The door was locked. They had to break the door down. When he went in, he was dead. Because those cookers release carbon monoxide. If you want to commit suicide, it's very easy. You get a pipe connecting from the exhaust pipe of your car to your window and close the window as much as possible and just sit there and breathe in the exhaust. You'll die. That's how dangerous car exhaust is. Then cleaning solutions, cleaning products. These are the biggest offenders on the list. Yes? Gas-powered heating. Yeah, but fireplaces are in a fireplace where there's a chimney. So most of the gas goes up, unless you haven't cleaned the chimney. You have to clean the chimney every year. If you don't clean the chimney, then the gas won't go out very well, and it'll come into the house. Yeah, don't use the cooktop in your chimney. I mean, in your fireplace. Yeah, don't cook in a fireplace. Yeah, if it's a gas burner, right? Yeah. Okay, so next, cleaning solutions. There's no doubt that cleaning solutions are hazardous toxins. What's most concerning is it's not required for cleaners to list the ingredients because it's something that's not eaten. So they don't have to put the ingredients in cleaning solutions. So they leave the consumers in the dark. You don't know what you're dealing with. Even those cleaning solutions that are so-called green or natural, they also contain toxic elements in it. Next, extension cords. Extension cords are potentially very dangerous. Why? Because people don't realize that each extension cord has a voltage capacity. If the voltage capacity is surpassed, it can start a fire in your house. And many houses burn down because of electrical connections or extension cords that burst into flame. And also, if you put the extension cord under a carpet or a rug, it can cause fire because they heat up. You know. Next, antibacterial soaps. For many years, antibacterial soaps were assumed to be better way to ward off harmful diseases and bacteria. However, one ingredient is triclosan and trichlorocarbon. They're both actually harmful for health. According to the FDA, it can be linked to creating antibiotic resistant bacteria, and they are not biodegradable. So everywhere now you see antibacterial products, right? They're actually not good at all. Not good for the environment, not good for you. Then paint. Many houses that were painted in the 1980s and 1990s have lead in them. When the paint starts flaking, you can breathe in that lead and you can get cancer from it. Asbestos. Asbestos used to be used previously as some kind of insulation for a house. Extremely dangerous. There's no doubt about it that it causes cancer. Because when it gets old, the asbestos fibers sort of pulverize, become like a dust, and they go into the air of your house. And by breathing that in, you'll definitely get cancer. You'll get lung cancer or mesothelioma. Next, formaldehyde. Formaldehyde is used very widely in the manufacture of building materials and numerous household products. It's also a byproduct of combustion and certain other natural processes. Thus, it may be present in substantial concentration both indoors and outdoors. In homes, the most significant source of formaldehyde are likely to be pressed wood products. Pressed wood products, meaning like plywood planks, things like that. Made using adhesives that contain urea formaldehyde, UF, resins. Pressed wood products made for indoor use include particle board, hardwood plywood paneling, and medium density fiberboard, which contains a higher resin to wood ratio than any other UF pressed wood product and is generally recognized as being the highest formaldehyde emitting pressed wood product. All the houses, when you watch these $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million houses being built, they're all using pressed wood, right? They're all using them in the walls. So they're very dangerous. And they call it a greenhouse. It's green death. That's what it is, a green death house. Yeah. Next, perfluorinated compounds, referred to as PFOAs. Perfluorinated compounds, PFCs, are a family of fluorine-containing chemicals with unique properties to make materials stain and stick resistant. PFCs are used in a wide array of consumer products and food packaging, such as microwave popcorn bags, pizza boxes, and cleaning and personal care products like shampoo, dental floss, and denture cleaners. Yeah, the dentists are trying to kill you, by recommending these products. Even Gore-Tex clothing, I think those are like spandex things. Yeah. Gore-Tex clothing contains PFCs. Although these chemicals have been used since the 1950s in countless products, they've been subjected to very little government testing. In other words, the government permits them, even though there are many forms of PFCs, but the two most notorious are PFOA, or perfluorooctanoic acid, used to make Teflon products. PFOA is broadly toxic. It does not break down in the environment and has a half-life in the body of more than 4 years. PFOA is a likely human carcinogen. It causes liver and pancreatic and testicular and mammary gland tumors in laboratory animals. Don't forget, we are an animal also. So there you go. And the second type of the PFCs, or perfluorinated compounds, is PFOS, or perfluorooctane sulfonate. A breakdown product of chemicals was used until 2002 in the manufacture of 3M's Scotchgard treatment. Used on carpets, furniture, and clothing. PFOS causes liver and thyroid cancer in rats. PFOS's half-life is estimated at more than 8 years. It takes 8 years for it to get out of your body once it's in the body. Okay. Phthalates. This is another class of toxic products. Phthalates, called plasticizers, are a group of industrial chemicals used to make plastics like polyvinyl chloride, PVC. Polyvinyl chloride. Everybody has PVC in their house. It makes it more flexible and resilient. Building materials are the largest end use for PVC. Major uses of flexible PVC in buildings include carpet backing. You put it underneath the carpet. Resilient flooring, wall coverings, acoustical ceiling surfaces, upholstery textiles, roof membranes, waterproofing membranes, and electrical cord insulation. Phthalates are nearly ubiquitous, meaning everywhere in modern society, and can also be found in toys, in food packaging, hoses, raincoats, shower curtains, vinyl flooring, adhesives, detergents, hairspray, and shampoo. Certain phthalates are known or suspected endocrine disruptors, meaning they impact and alter the human hormone system. Phthalates are also suspected to be potent reproductive toxins, especially in boys. That's why the sperm count of men in the United States has gone down dramatically in the last 20 years. Dimethylphthalate, DEP, is a phthalate ester, namely the diethyl ester of phthalic acid. It is a clear substance that is liquid at room temperature and is only slightly denser than liquid water. It has a faint, disagreeable odor and can be transferred from plastics that contain it. When burned, DEP produces toxic gases. One time during Janmashtami, this is many years ago in France, we were cooking the Janmashtami feast in the afternoon, and all of a sudden everyone felt faint, and people started to basically become anxious. They had difficulty breathing. A plastic container it didn't catch fire, but it was melting. It was next to the stove and started melting and released the gas. And we had to all run out of the kitchen, out into the outside to be able to breathe again. Some people stopped breathing. This is how dangerous these, especially the phthalates and the polyvinyl PVC, very, very dangerous products in the house. And they're everywhere. Phthalate, or diethyl phthalate, is used for perfumes because it's a very, very good solvent. You can't tell it's present in a perfume. They dilute the perfumes with it, and they use it for making sprays and perfumes. Since the compound is a suitable solvent for many organic molecules, it is often used to bind cosmetics and fragrances. Other industrial uses include plasticizers, detergent bases, and aerosol sprays. Because the frequent dermal exposure of humans to the chemical, the question of toxicity is crucial. Several studies suggest that diethyl phthalate can cause damage to the nervous system as well as to the reproductive organs in males and females. Anyway, this list is very long, but you get the idea. If you want this list from me, I'll give it to you. Right? Next is polybrominated diphenyl ethers, PBDEs. They're used as flame retardants in plastic building materials and are particularly widespread in polyurethane foam products, such as insulation and cushions. In May 2010, the EPA, the Environmental Protective Agency, released an exposure assessment for PBEDs, providing information on the extent to which humans are exposed to and have a body burden of the chemicals. Key routes of human exposure are thought to be from their use in household consumer products and their presence in household dust, and not from dietary routes. PBDEs have been associated in animal studies with liver toxicity, thyroid toxicity, developmental and reproductive toxicity, and developmental neurotoxicity, meaning it destroys your mind. Right? Then short-chain chlorinated paraffins. Now, I mean, why am I reading this list? This doesn't sound like a spiritual lecture. Because so many people are getting cancer nowadays. So many people have reproductive problems. And they have miscarriages. And so many people have liver toxicity. So many people have all kinds of exotic diseases. You can't even pronounce the names, right? And it's all caused by these toxins that we're subjected to every day in our house, unwittingly. There was a famous doctor. He was the doctor of Hitler. And he happened to be a Jew, but Hitler didn't kill him because he was a really good doctor. He wrote a book. His name is Wagman. He wrote a book, and he was a member of the Nazi Party, even though he was a Jew. He wrote a book saying that the cause of cancer is toxic buildup in the body due to chemicals in the home, and chemicals in the air, and chemicals in cars, and chemicals here and there, everywhere. And it's worse now than it was in the 1940s when he wrote the book. He wrote the book actually in the 1930s. It's much worse now than before, you see. See, before in India, people lived in the villages. They made their houses out of cow dung and straw and mud. They used clay pots and clay utensils, right? They grew their own food. There were no preservatives in the food. Nowadays, there's preservatives everywhere. 2 weeks ago, I talked about Amla Murabba. Amla Murabba is sold as a health product in India, and many people buy it and take it. But it's full of potassium sorbate and sodium sorbate. These are very dangerous preservatives that end up in your liver and can cause liver cancer. Potassium sorbate and sodium benzoate. Sodium benzoate. So, these preservatives, no matter, I mean, there's different types of preservatives. Those are the two cheapest ones. That's why they're using it in India. They're more sophisticated preservatives, but they're all dangerous. They're all dangerous. So, this product is sold as a health product in India. I see it in people's houses. When I visit people's houses, I see it in their house. And in fact, I even saw it being sold in our Mayapur temple. And I told the devotee, I said, well, are you crazy? You're selling a poison. Okay. This is how dangerous things have become. And Indian products, let me tell you something about Indian products. They're the most contaminated products I've ever seen in my life. They're worse than the United States. The United States is bad. The products being sold as food in India are the worst in the world. That's why you have so many sick people in India. So many people have diabetes. So many people have high blood pressure. So many people die of cancer and liver cancer, this cancer, that cancer. It's an epidemic. That was never like that before. Only 2 generations ago, people were living in the villages surrounded by all natural things. Now, the agriculture in India is some of the worst agriculture in the world. They use pesticides. They use artificial, what do you call it? Well, there's pesticides, there's herbicides. No, they use fertilizers. And in Punjab now, many of the farmers get cancer and die because they're handling these toxic products all the time, and it's going into the food chain that you're eating. You see, this is the problem with industrial agriculture. It's the same here in the United States. It's the same in India, and it's the same all over. In China, and India are perhaps the worst environmental contaminated countries in the world. You can't even breathe the air now in Delhi. You can't even breathe the air in Beijing. Everything is contaminated in those two countries. Worse than the United States. Okay, so then we have to get into artificial colors, the preservatives. I'm not going to go through an exhaustive list. There are sweeteners. They're also toxic. And there's additives. Now, the additives I will go over. You have potassium and bromate is a common food additive that is used to strengthen bread and cracker dough. All those crackers, those English crackers that they have in the chai booths in India and the, the coffee booths and the, what is that thing? Anyway, people eat those with tea, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, like the British. This is the British curse on the Indians. The tea and the cracker. It's a curse. So, they put potassium bromate because it helps for the dough to rise and to bake. However, California and the International Cancer Agency lists it as a carcinogen. Potassium bromate has been labeled as causing tumors, toxic to the kidneys, and may even cause DNA damage. Though once baked, it converts to potassium bromide, which has been deemed a non-carcinogenic product. Some residue exists even after the product is cooked. It's been banned in the United Kingdom, European Union, and Canada. But the United States still allows it to be added to flour. And of course, India, no question. No question. And alternative bromates are calcium bromate, potassium bromate, sodium bromate, bromated flour. To read more about potassium bromate, you can go on the internet. There's a lot of information about it, how toxic it is. Then monosodium glutamate, MSG. This is the favorite of the Chinese restaurants. Huh? MSG, yeah. It makes food taste better. But it also is good if you want to die young. And then preservatives, sodium benzoate and sodium nitrite, sodium sulfite, sulfur dioxide, propylparaben, BHA and BHT, butylated hydroxyanisole, BHA, and so forth. These things are in almost every product. And nowadays, they don't put it in a cereal. They put it in the cereal box and in the cereal wrapping. All those cereals you buy for your kids, you won't see it on the label because they don't put it in cereal. They put it in the wrapping in the box, so they don't have to write it down. I'm not kidding you. Those big, you go to this Costco and you buy a big box enough for 1 year for your kid. Right? Very dangerous. Very, very. That's why kids are getting cancer nowadays. Kids never got cancer before. Okay. Then, the big ticket items for diabetes and high blood pressure. Dalda, trans fat. Dalda is a what you would call an altered molecule, and it makes it shelf stable for 10 years. It's extremely dangerous. 60 years ago, there was massive publicity in India, the United States, all over the world. Don't eat ghee, cook with dalda. Ghee causes heart attack, dalda doesn't cause heart attack. Then, only 5 years ago, the FDA in the United States said, dalda, hydrogenated oil, causes heart attack, ghee is good for you. For 60 years, they lied to people in India and people all over the world. You see, the margarine is American dalda. Okay, So this gives you a little bit of an idea. There's an exhaustive list. We'll stop talking about that now. So the next thing is we should only eat nutrient-dense food. The food in America looks good, but it's not good. That's why, because of the soil. Now, I'm not going to get deep into it. If you want to know about this, you can come and talk to me. It's a big subject. The soil in America, most of it, even the organic soil, is more or less depleted of essential nutrients, minerals. And the food that's grown with it looks good, but it's not nutrient dense. Therefore, the vitamin industry was created to supplement the food. Everybody uses vitamins now. They're multivitamin. Why? Because the food is not giving you everything you need. Besides having all kinds of junk products in it, it also is nutrient light. It's not nutrient dense. So there's a long story behind it. Then the next thing is allopathic medicine. Allopathic medicine is based on using poisons to heal people. It was started in the 15th century when they found out that mercury could kill germs, and not germs, but kill sicknesses. But it also can kill people if you overdose it. Right? So mercury-based medicines, like for example, why is there autism? Now this is a very controversial thing, subject. Nowadays, 1 in 70 kids is autistic in the United States. It used to be 1 in 400 or 500 or 5,000. Now it's 1 in 70 children is born autistic. Why is it? Because on the second day of their birth, they give these kids injections. In Ayurveda, you're not allowed to make any injections into the body. You're not allowed to put pins into the body. But imagine a 2-day-old kid getting an injection with a mercury-laced liquid. What if they overdose the kid? It can destroy their mental capacity for the rest of their life. And they scare you nowadays. They say, oh, you have to do it. Your child has what do you call that? Your child is all yellow because the liver is not functioning yet. Has jaundice, yeah. So you have to get this injection. And they scare you. All you have to tell them is, look, it's against my religion. I don't want it. I'll just feed my child my breast milk. That's it. Now, sometimes mothers don't have breast milk. That's because they're not eating right. Solution to that is meti, fenugreek. You should be drinking and eating meti while you're pregnant. It's one of the best things to help you have an easy childbirth, as well as have plenty of nutritious breast milk. Okay, so now eliminate eating all altered molecules in food. Dalda is one, but there are other altered molecules in processed food. One should avoid all processed food. You should only cook fresh things every day, and don't keep anything in the refrigerator. The normal way of eating in India previously was people would cook fresh food. If there was anything left over, they would give it away to poor people. And every meal was fresh cooked. They didn't have TV dinners. They didn't keep things in a refrigerator. They didn't have refrigerators. Everything was fresh. Eating fresh food is important. As soon as the food is 3 hours old, it begins to deteriorate. Of course, the refrigerator can slow the deterioration down, but still it's deteriorating. And if your refrigerator is not clean, you can contaminate it with toxic things. Okay, so now the next point and then we'll stop in a minute. We went through a list of lifestyle reorganization, not wasting body fluids, removing all toxic things from the home, eating nutrient-dense foods, and avoiding not eating any altered foods, right? Because you are what you eat. Now we're going to talk about something very interesting. how to attain immortality in this age, in this lifetime. Everyone is immortal. The soul is immortal, but the soul now is wrapped in this material body, and we mistake the body to be our real identity, and it's false. We are not this body. We are the soul that's witnessing all the changes of the body. That's the source of the consciousness in the body. When the soul leaves the body, you have a dead body. It doesn't move, doesn't talk. And it has to be cremated or buried or gotten rid of. So what keeps the body alive is the soul. Now, the soul also needs food. The food for the soul doesn't go through the mouth and the stomach, it goes to the ear. It's called Amrit. Amrit is the nectar of Krishna Katha, Ram Katha, Narayana Katha. It's a nectar that goes through the ears and feeds the soul. If we don't have that nectar, then you're confused about what life is. You think that at death, there's nothing after death. That's not true. Life means the eternal life of the soul. That's what's living. The body is not living. The body only seems to be living because of the presence of the soul. As soon as the soul leaves the body, your body is finished. So this immortality is not difficult to attain because our soul is already immortal. But what we have to stop is the changing of the body, or the samsara, birth, death, old age, and disease, and then repeating it again. And this is what people are confused about. Why should people die? Why should people I love die? Why should I die? It's not normal. It's against our desires. And that should be the indication to us that we should not be overwhelmed simply with making money and spending it on sense gratification. We should limit that and use these instruments that we have, the body, the senses, the mind, the intelligence, for self-realization, not for self-indulgence. This is why you have this chance. Only the human being has a chance. The dog can't become self-realized. The cat can't become self-realized. The elephant can't become self-realized. The one-cell amoeba can't become self-realized. The fish can't become self-realized. Only the human being can become self-realized, meaning understanding yourself in relationship to God. Therefore, we've been given all these instruments for self-realization. If we use them only for sense gratification, we waste our life. We are criminal. And who is the victim? Our soul is the victim of this criminal use of the body. Okay, so immortality is possible. Now, previously, people were talking about you give everything up, you move into a cave in the Himalayas, you meditate. Nobody's going to do that. I'll tell you right now, not one person in this room is going to do that. They're not even going to consider doing it. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's Krishna himself, who came 500 years ago, he gave a very easy process for immortality. It's called Bhakti Yoga. In Bhakti Yoga, you don't have to put your foot behind your ear, breathe through one nostril, twist your body like a pretzel. You don't have to do any of that. All you have to do is chant, dance, and feast on prasad. Is that difficult? Does that sound difficult? Some people say, it's too easy, give me something harder. They're crazy. They're absolutely crazy to say such a thing. You don't have to do any pujas. This puja, that puja, Sani puja, Satyanarayana puja. You don't have to do any of those things. Simply chant Hare Krishna, dance, and take prasadam to your full satisfaction. You can do that in the temple, you can do that at home. But of course you have to offer the food first to Radha and Krishna, or Ram, Lord Ramachandra, Sita Ram, or Lakshmi Narayana. Because you have to thank God. You say, thank you very much, Krishna. This is your mercy. You give the rain, you give the sun, you give the earth, you give the seeds, and you have the planets moving in a regulated way, and seasons are changing. This is all your mercy. And now you've given us these apples and pears and grains and things. This is all your mercy. And you've given me life in Sammamish, in Redmond, and Issaquah, right? It's not life in Detroit downtown, or Atlanta downtown, or even Seattle downtown. It's very nice. This is a very nice place. This is one of the best places to live in the whole United States. You call the police, they come right away. They're only 2 blocks away. You see? And the water is relatively, well, the water is not clean in Sammamish, I have to tell you that. The city council voted in 2005 to put fluorine and chlorine in your water. You should all get a water purifier right away. The water is toxic. Okay. So, we should use this human life to understand how we're going to get out of this temporary body and attain our spiritual body, which is eternal and indestructible. In the spiritual world where everyone is eternal and everyone is related to Krishna and everyone is having a great time. Okay, so simply chant Hare Krishna, offer your food first to Krishna, receive it back as prasad, eat prasad to your full satisfaction, come to the temple, do seva, make your house a temple, throw the television out, get rid of the computer, get rid of the cell phones, just keep the cell phone in your car, right? And enjoy life. Get a life, as they say in English. Get a life. You're not living in a life, people calling you up in the middle of the night, oh, this thing happened, that thing happened. They're calling you up from India. Oh, you have to send money. You don't have to live with all that nonsense. At least your house should be a safe zone. And it should be safe for your kids also. Otherwise, the kids are going to lock themselves in their room and go on the internet and watch all kinds of nonsense. And after a few years of watching nonsense, you won't recognize who they are anymore. See, they lost all their culture, the Sanatan Dharma culture. Make your house a temple where you can chant, dance, and feast all the time, where you have quality time with your family, where the phone is not ringing, you're not listening to political speech or listening to Bollywood movies and watching all that nonsense, going to bed late, waking up late. It's all, and you have to do a survey of your house and get rid of all the toxic things in the house. It's very important for your attempt to leave the body and go back to Godhead in your eternal spiritual body. It's very important. So I'll stop right there. Anybody wants the list of toxic things, just ask me, and I'll show you where you can find it. Are there any questions anyone would like to ask? Yes? Remedy? Remedy, I'm working on the remedy. We are going to have the supply chain for Krishi Goraksha Vanyijam, Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam. That is, see, Washington State is a great state because it's relatively unpopulated. It's not like other states, well, there are other states that don't have big populations, but many of the states, especially in the east, have large populations. Washington State has very little population, and it has a lot of land that's relatively very cheap. So, we have our one model farm in Redmond, we have another model farm in Auburn, and we're going to purchase another farm in Chehalis, I think, or Enumclaw, one or the other, where we're going to set up an entire economic system where our kids can be educated to fit into the supply chain of protecting cows and managing the land properly, where you have milk, yogurt, ghee, cheese, organic vegetables, grains, and fruits, and all the subsidiary businesses that you can start with this, including our own bank, our own lawyers, our own IT people, if we need them, our own doctors, our own Ayurvedic doctors, our own veterinarians, so our children can fit into that supply chain, and we're going to build houses made out of gobar and real wood, not wood that's treated. And the whole system will be going back to the village life, but intelligently, with an economic system that can support everyone. But it's all going to be based around the temple, because without God's help, none of this is possible. No one is even imagining this. People are moving away from the farms in India and in the United States. They can't make money. Their kids don't want to work on the farm. They want to work for Amazon. They want to work for Facebook. You see, in India, it's happening in a big way, where the kids don't want to work on the farms anymore, and the farms have to be sold. The ancestral home in which 10, 20 generations of your family has lived, they're getting rid of it. They don't want it. You see, and the whole generation that had these things is dying. We're going to do this. In the next 10 years, the whole supply chain will be set up. You don't have to work in Amazon. You don't have to work Facebook. You don't have to work for Oracle or Verizon or any of those nonsense companies. They're not working in a corporate environment. What we want to do is the main farm will be the center of the cooperative, and devotees will buy smaller farms. They'll have their own cows, and the main farm will be able to market the production of the food and the milk and the auxiliary products that are made. So this is going back to the original way of life, being self-sufficient, not having to use petroleum, not having to buy electricity, not having big mortgages, not having credit cards, not having debt. Therefore, you have plenty of time to chant Hare Krishna, dance and feast, and above all, hear Krishna Katha, Ram Katha. You see, this is a very serious project that we're starting here, and it'll happen in 10 years. It's going to happen right away. It's happening now, but it will evolve where the whole supply chain will need qualified people to fit into it. Does that answer your question? Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll stop right there. Thank you very much. And now we will have Arti, and then we'll dance, chant, and after that, feast. Haribol. This is yoga, real yoga. You want to lead? You want to lead? I'm going to make a few announcements before the Arti. We want to thank Bhavani Prasad, who's having a birthday. So after the Arti, we'll celebrate Bhavani's birthday. We have two special guests, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We have Bhakti Anugraha Janardhan Swami Maharaj. He's going to give class Monday night. And then Tuesday night, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj Goswami. He's one of the most prominent gurus in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Very, very prominent person, very wonderful person. He's going to lecture Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. Then July 13th, next Saturday, the Derby Days Festival is going to take place in downtown Redmond, near the Redmond City Hall campus. And we're going to be in it. We're going to have a group of 50 or 60 devotees and our Rath Yatra cart. And we're going to have a big Rath procession. There'll be Sri Vaishnavas chanting the Prabandhams, ladies nicely dressed, men nicely dressed. And then there'll be our Dance for Peace group of ladies dancing and chanting. And then there'll be a Harinam Kirtan, and then the Rath cart with Jagannath. So please come to Derby Days Festival next Saturday, 13th of July, at the City Hall campus. And it's an all-day festival, but we will be in that morning parade, and then we have a booth to publicize our Ananda Mela Festival, which is July 27th and 28th. The Ananda Mela is the biggest festival of Indian culture in the Pacific Northwest. That includes Northern California, includes Oregon, Washington State, Idaho, Alaska. It's the biggest festival. Between 20 to 25,000 people come. Please keep those dates in your mind. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Kiba Jayo Jaya Gora Chande Aroti Ke Shobha Janavi Tatavane Jagamanaloba Dakine Nitaya Chan Bame Gadadara Anikate Advaita Shrini Vasa Chatradharani Jayo Jayo Gora Chande Aroti Keshobha Janavi Tatavane Jagamanaloba Dakine Nitaya Chan Bame Gadadara Anikate Advaita Shrini Vasa Chatradhara Jayo Jayo Gora Chande Aroti Keshobha Janavi Tatavane Jagamanaloba Kibabasi Yache Gorachan Ratna Simhasane Arati Karena Brahma Yadi Devagane Jayo Jayo Gora Chande Arati Keshobha घोषायादिगायत् कि बजायो जयो गौरचंदे आरती के शोभा जाना बीततवाने जग मन लोभा शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे बाजे करताल माधुरा मृदंग बाजे परामरसाला माधुरा मृदंग बाजे परामरसाला शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे गौरंगे आरती शोभा जग जनमाना लोभा जग जनमाना लोभा जग जनमाना लोभा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल कि बाबा हो कोटि चंद्र चीनी वदना उज्ज्वला डाला देशे वनमाला कोरे जलमाला कि बजायो जय गौरचंदे आरती के शोभा जानाविताने जग मन लोभा ಶುಕನ ರಾಜ ಪ್ರೇಮೆ ಗದಗದ ಭಕ್ತಿ ವಿನೋದ ದೇಕೆ ಗೋರಾರ ಸಂಪದ ಜಯೋ ಜಯ ಗೋರ ಚಂದೇ ಆರತಿ ಕೆ ಶೋಭಾ జానవితతవాని జగమనలో జయ శ్రీ కృష్ణ చైతన్య ప్రభు నిత్యానంద శ్రీ అద్వైత గదాధర శివాసది గౌరా భక్త వృంద జయ శ్రీ కృష్ణ చైతన్య ప్రభు నిత్యానంద శ్రీ అద్వైత గదాధర శ్రీవాసది గౌరా భక్త వృంద జయ శ్రీ కృష్ణ చైతన్య ప్రభు నిత్యానంద శ్రీ అద్వైత గదాధర శ్రీవాసది గౌరా భక్త వృంద Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Jayo Radha Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Radhe Jayo Radha Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Radhe Jayo Jagannath Jayo Jagannath Jayo Baladev Jayo Subhadra Jayo Jagannath Jayo Jagannath Jayo Baladev Jayo Subhadra Jaya Goranitai 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 Jaya Goranitai Jaya Goranitai 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 Jaya Goranitai Jayo Sitaram Jayo Sitaram Jayo Sitaram Jayo Lakshmana Hanuman Jayo Sitaram Jayo Sitaram Jayo Sitaram Jayo Lakshmana Hanuman Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha 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 Namaste Narasingaya Namaste Narasingaya Praladadayine Hiranyakashipurvatsaha Shilatankanakalaye Ito nashimo parato nashimo Yato yato yami tato nashimo Bahir nashimo नरसिंहो हृदये नरसिंहो नरसिंहमतिं शरणं प्रपदे तव करकमलवरेणकाम् अद्भुतशृङ्गाम् गलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गाम् केशवधृता नरहरिरूप जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवधृता नरहरिरूप जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव 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 जय नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल जय बोल हरि बोल जय Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajakacarya Srodasa Sri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajakacarya Srodasa Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavin ki नाम आचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद जय द्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की श्री श्री राधा नील माधवा गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम की जय मथुरापुरी धाम की जय नवदीप धाम की मायापुर धाम की जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की द्वारका धाम की गंगा मई की जय जमुना मई की जय तुलसी देवी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय सामवेद भक्तवृंद की जय इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय बृहद मृदंग की जय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असेंबल्ड डिवोटीज हरे कृष्ण ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असेंबल्ड डिवोटीज हरे कृष्ण ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असेंबल्ड डिवोटीज हरे कृष्ण ऑल ग्लोरीज टू श्री श्री गुरु एंड श्री गौरंगा श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय नमो So now we are going to say Hare Krishna to Bhavani Prasad, who's the sponsor, and it's his birthday. Hare Krishna to you, Hare Krishna to you, Hare Krishna, dear Bhavani Prasad Prabhu, Hare Krishna to you. also doing the with the. Ah, that's good. That will give him the taste for bhajan. Ah, it's okay. Hare Krishna.